Hi friends, Chandrasekhar here again. Now we are going into the ninth in the series of lectures on one Bhava Lord placed in another Bhava. As we already know that Bhava Lords have a tendency of expressing themselves, that is, whatever is attributed to that Bhava through the shelter of the Bhava that they occupy. This may sound repetitive, but I must always go on, repeating this so that you don't forget the track of the line of argument or the logic behind what could happen when one Bhava Lord occupies another Bhava. So, ninth Bhava, what does it represent? It represents father, it represents guru, it also represents somebody with authority like king, and it also represents dharma, that is whatever needs to be done. Dharayati iti dharmaha, that which is worthy of being upheld is called dharma. That is the standard definition, actual definition of what is dharma. It is generally loosely translated as religion. But religion is a very, what can I say, very short or very abridged translation for actually whatever encompasses dharma. It is much more than religion. This concept of religion is a relatively modern concept, perhaps in later days when the proselytizing religions became the in thing instead of religions as given by the nature itself. So, we will go to the next step. What happens when Lord of the ninth Bhava is in Lagna? Lagna, we know, is the entire personality of the Jataka. It is also the body of the Jataka. It also, in a way, represents the entire intellect or of a higher order for the Jataka, because we know advanced knowledge or acquired knowledge is ninth, then a bit more higher to that is the ninth, that is the knowledge of dharma or duties or even a very high form of education, and again, fifth from it is the Lagna. So, what generally happens is the Jataka has great influence of his either guru, the preceptor, his father, his bosses, and is very much influenced by the idea of doing the right things that are needed to be done. So this is how ninth Bhava Lord in the Lagna will manifest itself. There is a possibility that he might have some, if not physical traits, some gestures or something, or even the way he wears clothes, which are like his either boss or father or the preceptor. Generally, it is found that it is more the preceptor who has influence on the Jataka, and he strives most of his life to bring whatever are his teachings into reality through his own action. Ninth Lord going to second house, ninth Lord also represents the fortune, so obviously he is fortunate in getting wealth, so he gets it as a matter of fortune. He also gets it as legacy of the father or some gifts or honor, because second house also is house of honor. We know that, we have seen it. I mean, the second house represents the ornaments and raiments which are given when you honor somebody. It is not actually place of honor, but it is indicative of something there. And so ninth Lord in the second house can also bring some laurels to the Jataka. Next is the third house. Ninth Lord going to the third Bhava. Either his younger brother or brothers as such would be more influenced by their father or preceptors, or his fortune or his valor would be more out of the luck that he has, the fortune that he has. And one thing is certain, ninth Lord from the third Bhava will be aspecting the ninth Bhava, strengthening the ninth Bhava. So his sense of duty would certainly be of a very high order, and you can also say or because these things can exist simultaneously, or either of them can exist. And if it is not a malefic, then of course the valor would be on the softer side, the soft power as nowadays we call it. And if it is malefic, of course, he would be very valorous. But that has more to do with the nature of the planets occupying the third bhava rather than the lord of the ninth bhava occupying the fifth bhava. So sometimes you might see people who are not exactly follower of dharma and who might be downright cruel in getting their things done, but they would be under impression that this is what is their duty at that point of time. So please understand that. So you don't be surprised if you find something like this in chart of somebody like Genghis Khan or Timur. That is also quite possible. So don't be confused. Or even in some proselytizing religion chiefs, they might also have that, especially in those days when Inquisition was the order of the day. So now ninth bhava going to the fourth bhava, the fortune goes to fourth house, the house property that he owns, he might get it fortunately, he might be gifted the property by his father, or his boss might think that he is working very well and give him some larger accommodation to stay in. All these things are possible, and he would actually enjoy doing his duties, because ninth bhava is house of duties as understood by the Hindu religion, that is worthy duties. It is also possible that his father might bring happiness to his mother, though fourth bhava is eighth from the ninth bhava. Another thing that is quite likely is he will be doing his duties properly, because anyway the lord of the ninth is aspecting the 10th bhava, the house of career. Now we go ahead, ninth lord occupying the fifth bhava. What will happen? This advanced education, this is also acquired knowledge. So besides his regular knowledge, the scholastics knowledge, the Jataka might be interested in acquiring, you may call it spiritual knowledge, or very high level of knowledge by placement of the Lord of the Fortune in the fifth bhava. He would also be aspecting the 11th bhava, and so it is quite possible that some of his income might come because of the help of his father or his preceptor, and also perhaps because he is known for performing his duties well. Next, the ninth lord in the sixth bhava. Now here there are two ways of interpreting it. Some think, they are also great astrologers and acharya, that this will destroy the fortune of the Jataka, or he may have enmity with father or his preceptor or his boss, which is not impossible, because this ninth lord is going to express himself through the sixth bhava, which also happens to be bhava for enmity, legal cases, diseases. He can bring some diseases. His father's disease might also affect the Jataka himself. That is quite possible. But another part which we must remember is this enmity will exist if they are living together in one house under one roof. But if the Jataka is living away from father, then this would not happen. Whatever harm to the relationship has to occur has already occurred, because they are not in the same house. Next is the fortune of the Jataka will grow through sheer hard work, because never remember that sixth house is indicative of both job as in service or job, and also it represents very hard work. Why hard work? If you remember the earlier lectures on Karaka, sixth bhava is generally connected with Mars as the Karaka according to Parashara, but some learned think that Saturn is also Karaka for the sixth bhava, which I tend to agree with, because Saturn is called Bhrutya, the servant, and naturally when you are serving somebody or somebody is serving under you, both things could be represented by Saturn, and that is why this happens to be the bhava of hard work, and this Jatak will grow if he puts in hard work. That is almost a certainty. Check it against the charts that you have got, and I am sure you will find this thing happening. Then ninth bhava comes to, bhava lord comes to the seventh bhava. This is bhava of spouse, this is bhava of partner, this is bhava of short travels. So either of these things are possible. So because of some chance of luck, you might meet your spouse or get married. The Jataka, when I say you have to understand I am talking about Jataka, not about any individual. Or because of some event of fortune, suddenly one takes up a business, or the guru or the boss or the father, whatever is what is represented by the ninth house, and although any of these could be the partner of the Jataka in a business or any venture or any enterprise that he undertakes. Simultaneously, this ninth house lord is also aspecting the Lagna. So I think in such cases, even if it is a malefic which is occupying the seventh bhava by virtue of being the ninth lord, it is certain that if the Jataka follows his own duty, there might not be any break in those partnerships or joint efforts. Otherwise, of course, the malefic will express himself by breaking the partnership or the marriage or whatever enterprise somebody takes jointly with anybody else. Here it will be father or preceptor or even boss in the job, or even king, because king is also represented by the ninth bhava. Now we go to the eighth bhava. Same thing as in sixth. Everybody thinks that since these are Trika bhava, 6, 8 and 12, and all planets are supposed to lose their vitality when they occupy the Trika bhavas, most of the interpretation is that this will indicate either having no father or preceptor or whatever, or having no luck. I tend to differ, and I think that is not ruled out. Ultimately, it is great astrologers who have opined like this, and it is not for some frivolous reason that they would say this. They must have seen charts in which this happened. But my idea is, this is possible, or he might become fortunate, very fortunate through some unexpected reason, because of some unexpected reason, and it would be better if the Jataka stays away from the father or preceptor or bosses, or maintains some distance from the bosses, so that there would not be any clash of interest between the two. Now, because we know that 8th house is house of the unexpected, it could also indicate the Jataka getting some legacy from any of those things or any unexpected gains through any of the persons who represent the ninth bhava. Never forget that. Now, ninth bhava goes to the ninth lord goes to the ninth bhava. Now here, as we know, all bhavas occupying own bhavas do impart strength to that bhava. So there would be a strong sense of duty and doing the right thing in the mind of the Jataka. How it would manifest would depend whether that planet who owns the ninth bhava is malefic or benefic, but his general tendency would be to do his duties properly. Sometimes if that planet happens to be Sun or Mars, there could be some tiffs between father and son on the matter of principle, as understood by those individuals, I mean the father and the son, or boss and the employee. So their understanding of what is right might be different, and that could cause some clashes between the two. Never forget that the nature of the planet doesn't undergo sudden change because it happens to be lord of some bhava. In Pravajja Yoga, they talk about which planet will give Pravajja, and they describe the nature of the Pravajja, that is asceticism. So asceticism also is not uniform as is generally assumed by people. There are the fighting ascetics, the ascetics who love peace, who love luxury. So there are many types of ascetics, because ultimately though some planet or some Bhava Lord is able to give certain results, his nature, that is the natural beneficence or natural malfeasance, would also come into play in how this is expressed. And the best thing that an astrologer can do is analyze this and find out ways or suggest ways to the Jataka so that he gets best out of this instead of the worst. Now, ninth lord going to the 10th bhava, the career of the Jataka might be influenced by whatever is represented by the ninth bhava, or father of the Jataka himself might be one who gives a fillip to the career of the Jataka, or the boss might enhance him. So, because anyway that becomes a yoga between a trine lord and the square lord, and we know that it is a Raja Yoga, but how it will manifest, that is what we are thinking of, and that being the house of reputation. The Jataka would generally be well known for doing his duties properly. This is more important sort of when we look at the times we are living it of, doing all wrong things to achieve certain things or recognition in the life. That Jataka would not be inclined to do that, I would say, because other planets are also influencing the 10th house in a chart that really comes to you, not the ideal chart that we analyze and example charts, but the charts that come to you would have lots of combination here. Then even his recognition could be through some unexpected reason, because 9th lord happens to be the 12th lord to the 10th bhava, and so some unexpected thing, or rather I would say some opponent who is also striving for that particular honor might for some reason or other get out of the race. The reasons I can't tell, but if it is of course a malefic, then the reasons would be some accident or some, if it is Saturn, then some wrongdoings or something like that, and this Jataka will get the recognition. Next is 9th bhava going to 11th, as you can make out from the arguments made till now. All those representing the 9th bhava would be contributing to the way that the Jataka earns his income. Even in earlier thing, 9th lord going to 10th would also mean Jataka also doing the same business as the family business of the father, because 10th is second to the 9th, and so he might be in family business, whereas when he goes to 11th bhava, it is due to the father, the preceptor, the government that he will gain income. In which way? You will have to find whether more influence is on the 6th bhava or on the 7th bhava, which will tell you the difference between whether he will be in a government job or he will be working with government in some business capacity or working for father, and so on and so forth. Now the last and most important of the Trika bhavas we were talking about, that people normally think that Lord of Fortune occupying the 6, 8 or 12 means loss of fortune, or something very negative for the fortune. It is in a way negative for the fortune, but there is a way you can override it. Now this 9th lord going to the 12th bhava, what does it indicate? Fortune of the Jataka is placed in the 12th bhava. Now what is 12th bhava? We have gone through all that and need not repeat again and again. You are all learned astrologers, and what happens is, this is distant land, and the lord of the 9th house, the father, or the tradition, 9th lord is also tradition, or the culture, occupying the 12th bhava, either they will be, the Jataka will be bereft of fortune, so he might not get opportunity to prove his mettle, or he gets his fortune in distant lands. And you will find many charts where the typical combination of 9th lord going to 12th is there, and still that person is successful. You will generally find he is working away from his culture or motherland or place of residence or whatever. So this is how, in case of difficulties, astrologers can use these sort of logic to suggest a proper way, the karma that the Jataka should do to gain most out of the potential that is indicated by the chart. Many a times what happens is we see a child with great potential and we find that there is nothing happening on the ground. Check for these things. Where should he work? With whom he should work? Whether he should have partnership or not. Or he should not have partnership, and so on. And that will help lead the Jataka get the best out of it. And that is what Jyotish is all about. So my friends, thank you very much. I take your leave. I hope I have not been speaking very fast. Some are telling me that I do sometimes speak fast, but that is my nature, and I try to sometimes not go as fast by taking some breaks sometimes, like I took just now. And so good night, and see you in the next lecture on 10th Bhava Lord placed in different Bhavas. Thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing. Do let me know your impressions of the lectures, and I will be very obliged because I learn from your comments. Thanks, my friend. Good night.